Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Justice Producers Collaborative Cultivation Call. Our cultivation calls are open to all who self-identify as justice producers, people who are producing outcomes of justice. And there will be a diversity of perspectives and practices that we are going to experience with these beautiful human beings. We are centering marginalized people and communities who do this work, not the people who are doing extractive work on our behalf. So this space is welcoming to folks from marginalized communities. Now, for these sessions, Calling Up Justice is working with the Curiosity Paradox to center justice producers who work in BIPOC, disabled, queer, and trans communities. We are going to begin with inviting everyone to introduce themselves. And this is a note for our beautiful asynchronous audience watching this recording. Please treat this experience like a casting of wildflower seeds. We're getting to know each other as we're doing this, and we haven't done any vetting of people's practices. So we recommend that you do your research to find the best partner to help you grow the kinds of justice you are trying to grow. So we're going to officially begin with an introduction that includes our name, our pronoun, a land acknowledgement, an access check-in. But you know what? Before we even do that, I think I would like to do a little piece of radical sharing of power and do an official land acknowledgement for this entire project. And I'm going to share my screen and invite folks to voice this with me. So please just feel free to take a sentence in the land acknowledgement together, and we will just read this together. So unmute yourselves and just take a sentence.
Since our activities are shared digitally, let's take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within technological structures, including the equipment and high-speed internet, which are not available in many Indigenous communities.
After you.
Okay. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide.
I invite you to join us in acknowledging all this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation and decolonization.
We acknowledge that settler colonizers and slavers from Europe used stolen and enforced labor of African people to subsequently develop the land. We honor the lives of all who endured and continue to endure in the face of settler colonialism and white supremacy. Thank you all for helping us to collectively voice our land acknowledgement. We are now going to invite you to individually introduce yourselves. And please, we would love to know who you are, what's your gender pronouns to interrupt that piece of injustice, land acknowledgement from where you are specifically, an access check-in to interrupt ableism in the space. And then we would love to hear about what your justice practice is and how your marginalized experience informs your expertise. And finally, how you want folks to connect with you and your work.
I will go first to just model as an example how to do this introduction. My name is Grant Miller. I use they, them pronouns. I'm currently transmitting in from the Willamette Valley, which is the original and unceded lands of the Chinook and Tualatin Kalapuya people, as well as many other bands. I'm gonna take the moment to actually look up the name of this. I just found out, the Donation Act, that this was the 170th, this week was the 170th year after the Donation Land Claim Act of 1850, which was used to claim the Oregon Territory, and was like one of the really big first moves of settler colonialism in this part of the West to really steal the land. And of course, that history has been reiterated through many similar acts and broken treaties as well as gentrification, which is presently impacting Indigenous communities in this area. I am going back to access check-in. My mind is in like word crafting mode. And so I'm a little bit like feeling my sentences, feeling like I'm like kind of running down a hill and like hitting boulders on my way. So my sentences might be a little bit stunted. I might get up to grab some water after I'm finished with my check-in. But other than that, I think my access needs are met. And access needs is really saying, like, what do I need to be present in this space? Or is there something I would like the group to know in order for for my access needs to be met here? I am white with kind of soft black hair and a green button-up t-shirt, sitting up against a virtual like pattern of the inside of one of my favorite sweaters. What is my justice practice? I am one of two collaborators with the Curiosity Paradox. I say that I am an access artist. My work is informed by practices connected to both performance art and also community organizing. And so today, my justice practice has looked like writing a brief for local community members to try and submit budgetary requests to the city of Portland by Tuesday to get several new positions involved in city government for folks specifically dealing with disability equity. My work also looks like creating spaces where access needs of people who are participating are centered, and that learning spaces that are crafted are really designed to adapt to the access needs of those present, which directly confronts the idea that that meeting spaces that people need to have a standard type of body or way of being in a meeting space, because most of those standards have been defined by white and middle-class standards. And let's see, how does my marginalized experience inform my expertise? As a disabled white person, I am uniquely positioned to recognize contradictions within white supremacy while also benefiting from it. And so I get access to certain conversations as a white person where I can work to dismantle white supremacy, hopefully in service to dismantling ableism and creating greater opportunity for other disabled people. How do you want folks to connect with you in your work? I will send the link in the chat. And we have a practice of showing these links at the end of this part of the meeting. So I encourage other folks to do this as well. Thank you. And sometimes we also say check at the end of what we're saying to indicate we're done. So check.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deanna Yadollahi. My pronouns are they, them. And I am currently also coming from the land that was originally owned by Akshakshman and Tongva native tribes. For an access check-in, I will share that sleep, water, and food are items that I am guilty of not taking more advantage of today. So I will be drinking from my water cup during our meeting. For my visual description, I am a person of light brown skin with short curly hair, with big eyes and scruffy eyebrows. I'm also wearing a gray t-shirt, and behind me is a gray wall. And I also have 2 dogs in the room who may want to chime in at some point. My justice practice is educating or sharing resources and sharing information, access to information that centers disabled people in their already published and non-traditional platforms and so on social media work, as well as sharing information about accessibility, ableism in institutions of higher education, and the experience that I have had and witnessed as being a multiply marginalized disabled person in higher education, with a specific end of what needs to be done about it and what can be done about it. I would probably say that my marginalized experience comes from being a multiply marginalized disabled person who has become passionate about making knowledge more accessible so that others will be empowered and enabled to provide access. And I would love for anyone to visit my website, which is bit.ly/D-Y-S in the word scholarship. And there I have community resources where I center disabled people, as well as resources on different topics pertaining to disability. And I also share my past presentation materials, which can be adapted and used for others to also talk about what we can do in response to ableism and inaccessibility in higher education in particular. Check.
Thank you, Deanna. I'll go next. My name is Bernardo. My pronouns are he and him. I am currently residing in the lands that were once seized by the Kumeyaay people, now known as San Diego. I'd like to say that I'm from San Diego is the most southern part of California, and I'm from the south side of San Diego, living a few minutes from the border. All of my access needs are currently met. Although as I continue to build my understanding of what that means, sometimes I remember that I do have a hard time sometimes when people speak for an extended period of time without an opportunity for interjection or response. It's something I feel like it beckons me to listen, to work on my listening skills and my stamina, but intellectually I do still struggle. To be asked right now what my justice practice is, it's a fascinating time. Claudia and I have met as workers in the world of theater. I am a theater practitioner, mainly of forms of what are called applied theater. So theaters that performances that are intended towards some form of social change and community development or self-actualization. However, I've also expanded towards campaign organizing and developing community initiatives for social change and public health. I've done voter research for the Latinx community around the country. And since the pandemic began, I actually became a healthcare worker as an EMT with the state. And recently led an initiative of community outreach and visibility for the state's resources. focusing on patients of COVID who were either uninsured or undocumented or homeless in the region. And so I've come to a point in my work where I see the commonalities between everything that excites me and what I do, but I feel like I haven't taken enough responsibility or seen enough metrics for the justice that I'm seeking. So I'm in the process of applying to grad school as a social worker. Hi, hello, Karina. And I guess leveling up my own standards of what the pursuit of justice means. I'm still, as someone who loves the theater and believes in its power, I do have a lot of cynicism and doubt about its efficacy, knowing that it's only one component in the multi-pronged system for change making. You know, I feel like I've defined my life by its privilegizations, because in every way I feel like I'm of the dominant culture, having all my limbs, all of my teeth, and that being a short way of saying I'm able-bodied. I have white skin. I think I meet the criteria of what standard beauty culture is in the Western world. I have an athletic figure, and so other than being Latino and Arab in this country, I'm often told that the inside of me is the marginalized character. And I guess I'm still coming to terms with that. Because I'm so hyper-focused on, to give you a figurative example, being on the north side of the border, the quality of life just a few minutes away from where I live. I don't want folks to connect with me in my work. I don't know, come to the show. That's like the shortest version of that. If there's a performance happening, come see it, or ask me about it, spread the word. But I guess mainly send me stuff to read. That's probably the least I can ask for. Check.
All right, I'm going to jump in. Hi, this is Claudia. As I've said before in previous calls, the exercise of introducing yourself is such a gift, because I feel like I'm introducing myself to myself every time I do the practice. So I appreciate it. So, you know, I love the largeness and diversity of all of our collaborators. It's reminding me of the largest diversity of all of my own practices as well. My name is Claudia Alick. I am the executive producer for Calling Up Justice, a transmedia social justice practice. Let's see, my gender pronouns. Would you do me a favor and repost the prompts into the chat? I appreciate the reminder. My gender pronouns are they, their, she, hers. You can use those interchangeably. I'm speaking to you from the Bay Area, land of the Ohlone people. The people are still alive. And I now, at this moment of my decolonized greetings, when I enter all spaces, I acknowledge that I'm living in a country with concentration camps. And I really look forward to the day when I do not have to start every meeting by saying I am living in a country with concentration camps. My access check-in is, y'all, I shot 2 episodes of a TV show this morning. I directed it, and it was super fun, but that was a lot. So I feel like my brain is a little buzzy, and I didn't give it the favor of downtime today. I was greedy and really wanted to spend time with y'all. So I'm grateful for that. But I've got... So you might notice that I am actively snacking on little foods and drinking water, and I'll continue doing that throughout the meeting since I've been having one of those grind culture days that I am really attempting to extract from my life. My visual description is, oh, and also I have a pain disorder. I'm actually having a really good day, surprisingly. So sometimes though you might see me go like, And if I'm doing that, I'm not pulling a stank face at something you did. I'm pulling a stank face at one of my muscles acting stank, but it's not you. Other than that, all of my access needs are met. I am an African-American woman. I am wearing a dashiki, and I've got my arthritis gloves. And then over that, I've got my little biker gloves I use for just some extra grip and protection. And I have a red scarf on my head. And so that is what I am looking like today. Oh, and I am sitting in front of a green screen, and behind me is projected flowing water and trees and sky, because I'm attempting to project myself mentally into this space. This is the vibe that I would like to have all week long. My justice practice is pretty full. So today, my justice practice included directing something for television that, or is directing a film product, it's a digital film product that's about, it's funny, it's a comedy, but it's all about race, because it always is with my work. And I got to look at some of the curriculum for a justice practice that I'm doing with a high school where we're working with students. So it's like, it's teaching, but I feel like it's in many ways in these rooms and spaces, I'm not teaching people, we're teaching each other, and we're reteaching ourselves how to be humans in Earth. And I'm reminded that in high school, that's when you're learning a lot of the things that like lock in what society is going to be. And so I'm very grateful to be in encounter with these students, and hopefully we're making something different happen. I really hope. And then the other piece of my justice practice that was pretty alive and vital today was my social media practice. I do a lot of stuff on social media. Some of it is specifically around engaging with my community. And so I had some really beautiful exchanges around captioning, and the fact that Instagram now has captioning for IGTV, but not for actual Instagram. And we just had a really beautiful conversation that was inside the disability community. So we were able to talk about how sometimes you're like for me, typing is actually an access issue. So me doing the labor of captioning is actually a problem. There's another person who's like, I have extreme dyslexia, so I can't do it. So we were talking about all of these different kind of cross disability things when it comes to trying to create access. So that was a gorgeous conversation. I also said something about ending white supremacy online, and like about 50 trolls were like, oh, I'm triggered. And they came at me, and I was like, hit dog gonna holler. I didn't name no names. I just said you should end white supremacy. Why you so mad? So that's a part of the practice too. I didn't actually mean to poke the trolls, but I will admit, I like when I get them riled up. How does my marginalized experience inform my expertise? I feel super grateful to belong to so many different pieces of marginalized existence, because it helps me to identify when we're getting trapped in those places where I feel like supremacy culture, that's what I'm calling it now. I'm calling it supremacy culture, because I'm like, well, it's ableist, it's heterosexist, it's white supremacy, it's all of these things. So I'm just saying supremacy culture is my overarching term. It's because I'm on Twitter all the time, so I'm trying to come up with efficient ways to say this. And it feels like supremacy culture is always trying to trick one group into fighting for justice by stepping on another group. So I feel grateful that my lived experience, my intersectional lens is always on, and I can always tell when our justice practice is using colonialist practice or sexist practice or just controlling practices that are actually having the opposite outcomes for chunks of our population. And how do I want people to connect to my work and with me? I would love for them to visit claudiaalick.com. They can also visit wechargegenocide.tv. There's a number of websites they can visit, and they can also email callingupjustice@gmail if you'd like to find out more about the different educational opportunities that we offer. Another piece of the practice is hopefully we are training up the next generation of justice producers. So a big piece of the practice is I don't know, it feels a little hierarchical, and I'm anti-hierarchical to say I'm a teacher. So I like to think of it as I am a space where I am sharing knowledge, and I'm creating a lot of knowledge sharing and knowledge growing spaces. Check.
Hi, I guess I'll start. I wasn't sure because I just popped in here, but yeah, so I'm excited. This is actually my first Justice Collaboration meeting. I actually am interning for Claudia and learning more about the practice. So it's been really nice to learn of different ways of different projects that Calling Up Justice is working on. My name is Karina. I'm currently in New Hampshire. I go by she, her, hers. And I'll look at, yep, so I'm currently in New Hampshire and I grew up in New Hampshire. And as far as access, I'm pretty good right now. So blessed, so that's good. And my justice practice. So I just graduated college, but I've been really heavily involved with
Karina.
Yeah.
One of the things before we talk about our justice practice is to offer a quick visual description of ourselves.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think you were here for when I modeled it. So if you would like any support in doing that, feel free to ask. But if you want to give it a try, go ahead.
Yeah, if I could if you could demonstrate that, I would be happy.
Sure. So I would say I'm a person who has white skin and like sort of soft black hair, a green button-up T-shirt, and hands that drape like willow trees, which may make an appearance.
Okay, cool. I have crazy curls. I have mixed skin. My mom is white and my dad is black. So like caramel colored skin, brown eyes, and I'm 5'3". And yeah, was that a visual description? Good. Okay, cool. And as far as my justice practice, as I was saying, I graduated college, but I've been really like into education equity ever since. Like, I think like I grew up here. I think this is where it kind of informs me of my experience. I grew up in a predominantly white town, and so I didn't really ever like connect like equity and justice with education, but I had always had a passion for education and working with so many people and connecting with them. And so I was a part of teaching and learning from ESL youth and youth in New Hampshire. And for the past 2 years, I've been working at an organization where we have affordable like extracurricular like engagement, summer enrichment for ESL students. And they've been absolutely incredible. And I think that like, I'm just really passionate about teaching and learning from others and going into communities and like learning from the community and not just like, you know, like banking knowledge. And I just love teaching. So I think actually right now I'm continuing teaching through e-learning, and a lot of my students are from across the world, like some are in Korea, some are in Latin America. So it's really nice. So I just believe that like, I really want to see like change within the education structure and like having cultural pedagogy and having like, why is it important to talk about racism? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I never really grew up, like, you know, we'd always grow up like with just talking about the civil rights unit. Or for example, like when I was younger, I think I was really distanced from it because from reading literature by African-American authors, because in my opinion, like when I was younger, they always gave me books that were like all sad, but there's, you know, like a whole world like of, and it's just like the same stories. And so I like didn't really get into that when I was younger, but now like I like am sad about that and I want to change that. And so also, so teaching is a big thing, and I also love theater. And a lot of the plays that are the most moving to me are ones that speak to communities and share the stories of, you know, people that have been harmed by the system. And so that, like, my favorite theaters are theater that makes you uncomfortable, for like people to sit and be like, wait, why didn't I notice this before, but I'm actually living in it right now. And you have to feel uncomfortable because that's where progress and speaking about it begins. So theater and education for my practice. And as far as my marginalized experience, inform your expertise. I think I touched on that because I grew up in New Hampshire. It's predominantly white, and I never I think I'm super privileged. I never really I didn't fear police officers growing up or anything, or I don't didn't. There's just so many things that I guess I didn't know because we didn't talk about it at school, right? And so when I went and I talked to my friends and I talked to my students and I see what's happening and it's scary. And so, and there's also a lot of Republicans within New Hampshire that has this big group online, and Claudia, I hate trolls, but sometimes I just have to, give information for the moderates. So I do. And it's crazy. Just today, people were saying this person literally said, they were slavery ended in 18 something something. It started back up when Obama was president. And they're saying the Proud Boys, these are the Proud Boys, and they're showing a picture of them shaking hands as good people or whatever. And it's just all of these things. So I actually disengaged from that group now because it's just too much. But seeing how radicalized it's becoming with this mentality. So I really feel my practice goes along with talking to people and with being the kind teacher, listening, understanding, and trying to come to some, form some thoughts through stories and people who are actually experiencing what people are going through. And then for folks to connect to my work, I currently don't really have a website or anything. I think just reaching out on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Karina Ithier, just my name here. And I always love listening to others and what projects they're involved with. So yeah, thanks.
Okay, I guess I'll go. It's also my first time, so this is, give me a second. So my name is Tariq Bell. My pronouns are he, him. I'm usually in Los Angeles, but right now I'm in DC. So I looked it up, and I'm on the land of Nacotchtank and Piscataway people. Access check-in, I guess I've been traveling all day. I had to take a flight from LA to DC, which was a little bit unnerving. I mean, they did their best to make you feel comfortable and everything, but I'm coming to see my mom for the first time on her birthday since college. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna quarantine. I'm gonna go early enough that I can quarantine for 14 days and then get tested on the 14th, and and then make sure that everything's fine. After 3 days, they'll give me the test and tell me I'm fine, I'm sure. So so that's what, thank you. That's what my access, I guess, that's what I'm really thinking about, is all of the traveling and stuff. And then I saw the email, I was like, oh, I missed the last week's. I definitely want to come to this one. So I'm sitting here in the hotel room, just okay, let me hurry up and get her. And then I was on my phone, but now I'm on my laptop, and I'm okay, this is good. I'm able to focus now and everything. So let's see, visual description. I'm a Black male with locks. This is just a white wall behind me, and I've got this Red Hood Batman t-shirt on. Let's see, what is my justice? My justice practice is I'm a writer and director, filmmaker, and almost every single thing that I've done has had something to do with social justice ever since college. I went to an HBCU, and I think that informed a lot of how I view self, because when I was growing up, I mean, I grew up in an area that was like a lot of, it was a lot of middle-class Black people living together. Like everybody had college degrees, everybody had met their college sweetheart and got married and had a family, and everybody's family was together unless it was a divorce, and then it was a big, oh my goodness, big to-do type of thing. It was like a very, it took me a while to realize that that's not everybody's life. I remember the first time I heard the myth or the stereotype of the missing Black father, I was shocked, because I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I went to baseball, like my dad was president of the baseball park, and all you see is just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Black fathers, raising their kids and being coaches and stuff. And then you get out of that world and you find out that there's all these different types of stereotypes that people put on you. And I think the first time that I got called the N-word wasn't even in Georgia. It was in Florida when I went to school. And the first time a cop pulled a gun on me was in an HBCU. And that when that happened, that's when I wrote my first real script. I wrote my first real script. And I feel like that point completely changed how I viewed writing, how I viewed entertainment and film and television, and it informed everything that I did afterwards. Because I learned that it's just like, it's not enough for me personally to just know something or like hear about something, like, because I'm, well, I guess this kind of ties into the question that comes after. Because I am a Black male, I noticed that I had to become more soft-spoken. I had to walk differently. I had to talk differently. I had to, I couldn't just have fun and be loud and boisterous, because it would, even if I was in a group full of white people, maybe that would take some of it off, but they still would like be looking at me. People would look at me, and it would put me in danger. And so I think being a Black man and being very aware that at any moment people can become just terrified of you. And then also knowing that like there are reasons that non-men can be afraid of men or be worried about men being around them. And then also balancing it with, but you're a white woman, so, and you don't act like this towards the white men. It's like it's a thing that I'm really trying to like tightrope in my work as well, because a lot of it is there's like, yeah, but like you're also racist, so like I have to I'm dealing with a lot of that, and that is how I draw from it, is just like all of these interactions that I have with people, because I work in the entertainment industry now, and I've worked as a PA for years for different sets and stuff, and I've heard people say some of the most ridiculous things. And to me, and as a Black person, there was somebody who said that it was easier for a Black person to get hired as a writer than it was for a white person right now, because nobody wants to hire white men. Meanwhile, they're sitting in this room with nothing but white men, not even a white woman. It's just all white men, and they're saying this, and they fully believe it. And they're saying it to me because they're trying to make me feel better about my chances. And I was like, what do you? At the same time, they're just like upset because they feel like something's been taken from them. So that is where I'm drawing from, all of that stuff. I really want people to connect with my work and myself by watching my videos, reading my scripts, giving me feedback. The first time I had I did a web series, the pilot got into this really cool film festival in LA called, it was an Afrofuturism film festival. And I was like, oh, I've got to apply to this. And I got in, and the first time, that's when I found out how I wanted to, I want my work to be interactive. I was there, we showed, everybody had their videos, their shows or their movie. They showed it, and then at the end we had like a chat, a talk back, and people were asking me questions, and I was, talking to them and giving them the answers, and and they were bringing up things that that really spoke to them, and it made me feel like they were going to take what they saw and go on and tell other people, which is how, at the end of the day, I want my work to be consumed, is to take it and show it to somebody else, because my work is based on knowledge that I'm getting from all these different types of people. And so I want to be able to be that facilitator, and I think entertainment is a great way to do it. Check.
Ronnie, even though you've been here before, you are totally welcome to introduce yourself again if you would like to.
Okay, sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Ronnie. I was on here, I don't remember when it was, maybe a few weeks back, but I got an email notification from Claudia, and I was like, I love Claudia's energy, so I was like, all right, well, now let's take a break. But I was actually working on, so I'm a diversity and inclusion consultant for this predominantly Black-owned diversity and inclusion company called Converge. So I was working on this facilitation for white racial identity development. And I was like, let me take a break and get some community, and let me get out of this predominantly white energy that I'm doing. So I was like, yeah, let me hop on. So, okay, yeah, my name's Ronnie Braithwaite. Pronouns are he, him, land acknowledgement. Currently I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Lands previously owned by the Muskogee people. Access check-in, my access needs are met. My visual description is I'm Black, brown skin, with kind of dark glasses on and a black jacket, all black jacket. My practice, my justice practice, so I'm a writer, producer, director, documentary filmmaker. My work is available to check out at ronniebraithwaite.com. I dropped the link in the earlier little area. And then I consider my practice, I think at least the parts of it that I'm most passionate about are kind of the intersection of education equity and Black self-esteem when it comes to thinking about my experience as a marginalized identity, going to predominantly white school systems for the majority of my life. I went to predominantly white private school from 7th grade to 12th grade in Atlanta, Georgia, called the Lovett School. And it was a really racializing experience that largely kind of fueled the motivation in the work that I do today in terms of helping Black people kind of experience this liberation of knowing and feeling empowered to be empowered to do what it is they want to do that's outside of kind of a standard of white excellence or white kind of superiority. And so I like to consider how my experience going to this school, this predominantly white school, kind of made me feel more wanting to share and highlight stories of Black student American experiences. So I have 2 docuseries projects out. One is called Dear Du Bois, and the other is Post Love It Black, which are available on IGTV. I can drop that to my Instagram handle. I just drop in the chat. But essentially, it's you can find my work there, and it's available to stream there. And I like that because it kind of allows people to comment, and I can connect with people after. And yeah, I consider that really my justice practice, even though I do lead diversity, equity, and inclusion facilitations in the kind of corporate space. And yeah, I encourage you all to check me out, and I'm excited to learn more different perspectives here in this space right now.
Well, I gotta say, what check? All right. I should always wait for the check so we know that you're actually done speaking. That's why we say check. I think we borrowed that from CB radios, but it really works, especially when you're doing a mixed presencing gathering where some folks might be there with a visual and an audio setup. Some might only be present in audio. Human bodies have different access issues, as do the different technological interfaces that we're using. So I appreciate the chances to practice getting good at all of this. And I feel so fed by hearing your stories, your different practices, and also, frankly, I have more entertaining things to check out now. So at this time, I'm now going to share my screen, and I'm just going to, wait, actually, let me pause. Grant, am I skipping a moment? I 100% stopped looking at our script.
You're definitely not skipping a moment. I almost forgot about the screen share. So yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. So I'm about to share our screen, and then I'm going to hit stop on the recording, and then we just get to hang out. And the audience doesn't get to hear our amazing inside conversation on justice. That's right. We're going to have a conversation, and y'all don't get to hear it. But let me first share my screen so we can check out your practices. Yes. Okay. Come on, Claudia. Share. All right, here we are I'm now following you on Instagram, yay. So here I am, oh, I see Dear Dubois, okay. I'm excited to watch this content, yes. Now, what else do I have on here? This is your website, Ronnie, excellent, excellent. Oh, and I can see I can access your films through here too. How do I access you as like a teacher or an educator? Well, next time we talk about this, we'll get some more links from you, or we'll just make sure that they live someplace, since I know you're also a facilitator of justice in
Firm.com is that link. I guess I could have dropped that too.
All right, now this is AfroFi TV. I'm already subscribed, as you can see, so just get in on this because there's all kinds of really fabulous content on here. Thank you so much to hear. Let's see. Oh, and then you reminded me I had a YouTube channel. I was like, oh yeah, I never talk about my YouTube channel where all this stuff is. There's so there's all sorts of things you can see here, and it's a wonderful place for if you would like to, like if you're like, somebody just did a microaggression against me. I wonder what my response should be. I have a bunch of tutorials that are like, hey, did someone just touch your hair without permission? Here's something you can do. Hey, did somebody just do an ableist microaggression? Did somebody just ask you where you're from? Watch this video. And just some suggested crowdsourced responses from folks. Karina, I just pulled up your Facebook page. That is a fabulous headshot though, goodness. Now, and also just actor, writer, educator, thank you so much for joining us. And reminder, intern, early career, which means she is joining all kinds of beautiful things. So we're excited about all the ways you are growing, Curiosity Paradox, all the ways you can work with the Curiosity Paradox, accessing the art and the other offerings. And and I guess that's all of us. Yay. All right. So I'm going to hit stop share, and I'm going to hit stop recording right now. Oh, wait, I missed your site, Deanna. I knew I was missing something. It was like something short, because I remember loving your site. So let me go to it again. I'm just copying it and pasting it. Boop, boop. Yes. All right. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Sharing the screen one more time, because this is a fabulous resource, y'all. Check this out. So you have to use that cute bit.ly address because the real address is so long and complicated, right? So use that bit.ly address. It's the best. And you can see projects that they're working on, publications, oral presentations. But this is the part that I got so darn excited about. So there were just all of these wonderful access to knowledge. So if you would like to increase your disability justice practice, this is a human being you should definitely connect to. We are just so darn grateful for the huge numbers of people who are actively investing their time and energy to produce justice in this world. And we encourage all the folks out there in the world to connect to these human beings. And thank you so much, Bernardo. Thank you so much as well. And I'm going to hit stop on the record now.